Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. And then there's abortion, a difficult issue for the Democrats to lose on, but they're trying. For decades, liberals have said if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue.
It's been almost a year since Bill Maher launched his strong criticism of the woke movement, and he's not backing down. His latest focus? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's been traveling across the country, spreading her progressive message. But Maher isn't impressed. He sees it as more talk than real action, and he's calling her out. Let's break down what he said and why it's getting so much attention. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what...
Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
Here's how it all started. Bill Maher, as usual, didn't shy away from asking the hard questions. This time, he set his sights on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her ongoing push for a far-left political agenda, an approach that, according to Maher, more and more Americans are beginning to reject. He openly challenged why anyone would continue to back a movement that many now see as divisive, extreme, and out of touch with everyday people. While some might take that as a moment to reflect or reconsider, AOC didn't blink. She remains fully committed to her vision, confident that she's on the right side of history, even if it means pushing her views onto the broader public, whether they agree or not. But Maher wasn't done. What came next wasn't just a few sharp words. It was a thorough point-by-point takedown that didn't leave much room for defense or damage control. And trust me, you're going to want to see how it all plays out.
And then there's abortion, a difficult issue for the Democrats to lose on, but they're trying. For decades, liberals have said if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue. And abortion rights are women's rights. Well, that's wrong now. Or as the kids say, hole up. When the wokey end of the progressive spectrum talks about abortion now, they shy away from that word, women, and prefer terms like birthing people.
And this became the issue where Democrats chose to take their stand. The refusal to give a clear definition of what a woman is. Just 10 years ago, this wasn't even a debate. Everyone understood that a woman is someone who menstruates, can become pregnant, and give birth. That was basic biology, not politics. But things changed fast. Progressive voices pushed new ideas, that gender is fluid, that anyone could identify however they felt, and that questioning it made you intolerant. Many Americans weren't on board. They asked honest, straightforward questions, and instead of answers, they got scolded, shut down, or labeled. As activists and media elites pushed harder, regular people quietly started tuning out. The result? One of the worst election losses Democrats have seen in years, not because voters were hateful, but because they were tired of being told that common sense was somehow offensive. The Democrats didn't just lose votes, they lost trust.
And more of them now than ever are identifying as Republican. So are Asian Americans, whose support for Democrats is down 16 points since the last election. A lot of that is because, in the name of achieving equity in schools, Democrats in deep blue cities have made it a mission to eliminate the advanced programs at which Asian kids excel.
And often in ways no one sees coming. AOC and her party moved through deep blue states like they had unlimited power. They acted untouchable, confident that no matter how extreme their policies became, their supporters would stay loyal, but they misread the room. What they didn't expect was the silent backlash. Everyday voters who once cheered for them suddenly walking away. And where did many of them go? straight to the Republican Party. Yes, the very group AOC had spent years criticizing. This wasn't a slow shift. It was sudden and dramatic. A political shakeup. Almost overnight, former fans turned into critics. Longtime Democratic strongholds started showing cracks. The question now is, was this just a temporary bump in the road for AOC? Or is it the beginning of a much bigger breakdown of everything she's worked to build? And with Bill Maher weighing in again, his next move could make that answer even clearer.
Last week, an 85% Latino congressional district on the border with Mexico, which had always voted heavily Democratic, flipped to the red team. And the campaign manager for the losing Democrat said, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all. We deserve to know why." Well, aside from your terrible attitude, I'm going to tell you why. Because these voters stopped seeing your candidate as their lawyer.
Bill Maher keeps tossing out lines like, "my lawyer and their lawyer." Don't overthink it. Here's the deal. This isn't legal drama. It's political theater at its peak. What Maher's really saying is simple but cutting. Voters expect their elected officials to fight for them, to act as their advocates, not as if they're defending the other side. And that's where his criticism of AOC and her progressive allies hits hardest. According to Maher, they've missed the mark completely. Instead of standing with everyday Americans, they've been talking down to them, lecturing, performing, and backing policies that leave many voters wondering, wait, whose side are you on? Maher isn't just throwing punches for effect. He's building a case. Carefully, step by step, he's exposing the growing disconnect between what voters want and what these politicians are actually doing. The real twist? AOC talks like a fighter for the little guy, but in the eyes of the public, she's starting to look like the one who's being judged. And when Maher delivers his closing argument, it's not going to be soft. Stick around, because this verdict might shake up more than just a few headlines.
If you're a parent and wanted schools to reopen a lot sooner than they did after COVID shutdowns, or think maybe your kid is getting a bad education partly because it's nearly impossible to fire a lousy teacher, yeah, you're going to say, congratulations, teachers, you got yourself a good lawyer. The Democratic Party's always got your back, 100%. But I've noticed my kid is kind of an idiot. So I may be looking for new representation.
It wasn't only Latino voters that AOC and her progressive allies managed to turn off. They also hit a raw nerve on something even more basic: our schools. And if you look at the numbers, the verdict isn't pretty. A few years ago, with strong backing from the Biden administration and left-wing activists, new rules made it much harder to remove low-performing teachers. In theory, that sounded fair. In practice, it tied the hands of principals across the country. What happened next? Student performance went into free fall. The nation's report card shows that average math scores for 13-year-olds dropped 9 points from 2020 to 2023, the steepest decline in 50 years. Reading fell 4 points. Meanwhile, the very teachers at the center of the problem were shielded as if they were priceless collectibles. So while AOC fires up crowds with catchy slogans and Bernie Sanders repeats his usual class war lines, parents are staring at their kids' report cards wondering how things got this bad. This isn't just a policy misstep. It's a generational disaster. Which leads to the big question: with results like these, can the Sanders-AOC wing really help Democrats recover? Or are they steering the party straight toward academic and electoral detention? Bill Maher's next critique may feel like the final exam, and right now they're nowhere near a passing grade.
President Biden wants to cancel hundreds of billions of dollars in student debt. Okay, but the poorer 2/3 of American kids who don't get a college degree are going to say, why should the people who didn't go to college and make less money subsidize the people who did go and make more? You want me to chip in so some liberal arts college can build a bigger rock wall? You're not my lawyer.
Sometimes when I really take a step back and think about some of the policies Democrats have tried and failed to push through, I can't help but laugh. And I'm not talking about small slip-ups or routine mistakes. I mean major headline-making disasters. The kind that would be funny if they weren't so painfully real. Take the defund the police movement. It sounded bold to some until crime surged in major cities and even its biggest supporters quietly started backing away. Or the push to cancel rent across the board, an idea that might have made sense during a late-night college debate, but quickly collapsed under the weight of basic economic facts. And let's not forget the attempt to eliminate standardized testing, because now, apparently, asking students to meet academic expectations is considered oppressive. As Bill Maher put it perfectly, it's like Democrats are following a guide called How to Lose the Middle in 10 Easy Steps, and they're nailing every one of them. The wild part? These same folks think they've earned another chance to lead the country. It's political theater at its most ridiculous. And Maher? He's not letting them sneak off stage without getting called out for every bit of it.
When he ran in 2020, Bernie Sanders said he would legalize marijuana on his first day as president, but that the business of selling pot would be awarded first to those who suffered most from the drug war. And you know what? I can't argue with that instinct. The drug war has been a horrendous instrument of prejudice and punishment for racial minorities. So it seems fair that they jump the line for weed franchises the way Indians did for casinos. But it's also what's holding up Republican support for legalizing weed nationally, which would be good for everybody. And these are the hard, practical choices the Democrats have.
Bill Maher makes a sharp point here, and it's one Democrats would be wise to take seriously. If they truly want to win back voters, it's going to take more than catchy slogans or standing on moral high ground. They need to take a hard look at their past mistakes, and, more importantly, start having real conversations with the people they've overlooked for years. Not lecturing, not assuming, listening. That means stepping outside the DC bubble, sitting down with everyday Americans, and hearing their concerns without judgment or political spin. No talking points, no poll-tested buzzwords, just honest conversations. Because trying to guess what voters care about from a distance is exactly how they lost touch in the first place. Maher isn't saying they should abandon their values. He's saying they need to reconnect, genuinely, and earn back the trust they've lost. Otherwise, they're just talking to themselves in an echo chamber while the voters they need most have already walked away. Time is running out. The question now is, will they realize it before it's too late?
As with all these issues, the wavering voter is saying to her lawyer, the Democratic Party, hey, so happy for you that you have so many other clients and that you care so much about their problems and all the pro bono work you do. But you're supposed to be my lawyer. The Democrats need to be like the lawyers you see on billboards. You hurt, we fight.
Bill Maher didn't just take a shot at the Democrats. He held up a mirror. From ignoring everyday voters to bending basic truths, the party has drifted so far from its roots, it's barely recognizable. Sure, Maher's jokes get laughs, but they also cut deep, calling out serious flaws in policy, messaging, and plain old common sense. If Democrats are serious about making a comeback, it won't happen by pretending nothing's wrong. It's going to take real listening, honest self-reflection, and some hard course correction. Because if they don't change direction soon, voters won't just walk away. They'll slam the door behind them. That's it for today's video. If you found this helpful or thought-provoking, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more sharp takes and real talk. Thanks for watching. See you next time.